I'm gonna call to order the 228th meeting of the Equal Employment Practices Commission.
Aye.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we do.
Second, all in favor? Aye, let's go. I move to approve the minutes of February 7th, 2019.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Needed a second, but okay. Audit update. Hello?
Okay, we have a few audits on our agenda.
A said status of sexual harassment prevention and response practices and community board audits.
Right, we're not gonna, we have, you guys know we have 48 audits that we initiated this year. So I'm not gonna go through all 48, but there are some agencies that requested an extension. It's about 5 agencies, which is a vast reduction in the amount of agencies that used to request extensions. This is only like 10% or something of the agencies. However, we also had some community boards that were non-responsive. We sent them a follow-up letter. So that's basically the gist of it. It was about 6 or 5 community boards. We have one agency that, did the Department of Youth and Community Development, are they, when completed means that they completed
Yeah, they had
the audit?
they completed the PICS.
Oh, okay. So, and then we have one agency, that I would say questioned jurisdiction, which is the city council. We have the jurisdictional letter that we're gonna ask the commission to sign. Commissioner Daniel, you're the one that would be signing the letter. Where we explain the EO officer incorrectly asserted that we do not have jurisdiction. We're sending this letter to correct it and to explain why we have jurisdiction. So we also are giving that agency an extension to respond to the pics that we sent. That's pretty much it. There are a few agencies here that got determinations of compliance in the last commission meeting. Am I correct?
No, the final determinations were sent and the resolutions for those final determinations were inadvertently left off of the last agenda. So they are here today, but those 3 agencies also already completed compliance. So not only are you signing the resolution for the final determination, it's also the compliance resolution. There were 3 community boards.
Right, so they all comply,
Yeah,
pretty much.
they're all
Okay.
in compliance and getting their certificate.
Okay, so I need to put into the record, the compliance update, the final determination. I need a vote on resolution 2018 AP slash 228-381, Bronx Community Board number 1, resolution 2018 AP slash 228-387, Bronx Community Board number 7, resolution 2018 AP slash 228-392, 2018 Bronx Community Board number 12, and resolution 2018 AP slash 228-904, 2019 Queens District Attorney's Office. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Okay, now for a compliance update.
So there are 3 agencies that are going to be getting certificates of compliance at this meeting. 4. 3 community boards, which were the 3 that had the final determinations from the last meeting, and the Office of the Mayor has completed their compliance period. Right now we have 7 agencies that are from the 2018 audit plan that are finishing up compliance in the next few months. There's 3 Borough President's Office, OEM, and Department of Social Services, and then 2 of those 7 are the follow-up audits for the Bronx County Public Administrator and the Queens County District's Office. That is what's going on in compliance.
Okay, so therefore I can ask for a vote of resolution 2018-AP/228-392, Bronx Community Board number 12, resolution 2018-AP/228-387, Bronx Community Board number 7, resolution 2018-AP/228-381, Bronx Community Board number 1, and resolution 2018-228-002, Office of the Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. They are approved. Oh. Next, new business EEPC annual report.
Okay, so
It's ready.
the annual report has been completed and was sent via email. And we have, we can make a hard copy, we have one hard copy here. The annual report reports on the activities of the EPC for the year 2018 and all of our successes, all of our efforts to start a new type of audit, to conduct our conference on occupational segregation, which was very successful, and the interactions and testimonies that we've had in front of the city council regarding sexual harassment best practices, and also regarding the pay equity, which resulted in the local law 13 of 2019, which is usually referred to as Intro 755, which gives EEPC a new mandate in terms of the demographics, looking at the demographics and the underutilization of, in every city agency for the next 10 years.
Having looked at the legislation, I'm bewildered by it, because we have in fact looked at underutilization. But the manner in which we track anything is in terms of annually selecting a quadrant, really, it's a quarter of it, so it's a quadrant of agencies. This legislation is somewhat ambiguous and looks as though it's asking you to look at everything annually, which is beyond your capability and competence as I understand it, unless you decide not to do what you're doing and do this separate and apart from that. At which point you are diverting your workforce, and I'm troubled by that, to say the least, because your workforce currently is committed. To the extent that they have loaded this on top of it, I don't know what it entails, but if it entails looking at everybody for underutilization, you have done a separate audit for underutilization, and now we're doing a sexual harassment audit. Does that mean you stop doing your sexual harassment audit and just do annually underutilization for everybody? I don't understand, I truly do not understand the requirement here. Separate and apart from it, it says, so what makes it even more confusing is the data collection says, Commission shall obtain from the Office of Data Analytics the report it shall publish pursuant to Chapter 7, as well as directly from city agencies. So does that mean that annually you have to go to every city agency? Because that could be what this says. And if so, then what do you do, who does it, and how do you do it? Because this is mandating a particular kind of annual audit on top of your other audits or in lieu of your other audits. Please help.
So, first, we're totally with you, we've been with you, from the testimony that we presented when they, introduced these bills. What we're doing though is the city council has requested the fiscal impact of the bill. So, number one, the hearing that we're going.
Just double your audit staff.
The hearing that we're going to on the 25th is where we talk about this, about the fiscal impact, and we also presented a new needs request to OMB, where we're asking for more resources, staff and technical resources. We're asking for data scientist or statistician, we're asking for a labor economist. If we're gonna have to go to these other agencies and collect this information and compare it to the labor market and all of, you know, all of the things that are required, we're asking for funding for subject matter experts if we need them. For policy interns, we're asking for training. We're asking for, data analytical software, and we're asking for communications equipment, etc., because we need upgrades to some of the
You need-
technology that we have in here.
You
Namely, look, this
Hello.
is what we're working with.
You need, I believe, at least two designated auditors. I'm not kidding. You're really caught, or I believe we're caught. The charter requires us to do all the agencies every 4 years. This is saying annually, you have to do everybody for a specific audit. You have no relief from your charter requirement.
So,
And your charter requirement is broader than this. Your charter requirement is compliance with all of the equal protection laws. This is really looking at a designated subgroup of that. It seems to me you have a fairly decent argument that you at least need two additional, on top of the intellectual needs, the labor needs, the labor economist needs, you need two bodies that are only doing this audit.
well, we're getting one analyst back in 2020. We had one position removed, and we're supposed to be gaining that person in 2020.
So then you
And-
need another one.
And we also are asking, we have a research unit now where they can where we have a research specialist that can take the place of that second person. But I think that we can accomplish it with these other positions. These are other higher level positions that can do more of the statistical work
Okay.
than may be
All right,
required. But it wouldn't hurt to look at it further and see whether or not we can.
Sharice, why don't you ask for more bodies
Yeah,
than you absolutely need? You know you're not gonna get them all.
that's right.
You know you're not gonna get them all, but it seems to me the argument has to be, and I know you said it, but clearly no one has thought it, I would argue they haven't thought it through.
Well, this is the argument here. We have about 4 pages where, I mean, specifically, I talk about the fact that in terms of the new legislation, we still, like you said, we still have the sexual harassment audit, which has its own legislation that was passed in 2018.
Right,
And then we have this new legislation that was passed
and
in
you
2019.
have the city charter requirement
Right,
that you look at every 4 years. Would you do me a favor, or have someone do it for me? And that is have a simplistic chart, a very simple chart. The city charter requires us to do, in Dick and Jane language, city charter requires us every 4 years to audit every agency on for the following. The sexual harassment requires us to audit whatever the time is for the following. This requires us to do this for the following, annually. We have X number of audits.
who is this for, the council?
I want a chart for dummies. No, I'm sorry, it's,
but it's a
it's
good
really
idea,
very
yeah.
simple
It's a good
to,
idea.
to politically say, I've taken care of it, I passed this piece of legislation. The issue is implementation falls on us, and we're saying, that's fine, we're happy to do it, but it requires bodies, or we can't give you the report you want.
That makes sense.
Well, it's basically what this says. You see this? That's what it says.
Yeah, I mean, she's laid it out, so.
It says it.
Yeah.
I know know it, hon, I know it, I just,
No, please, I think it's like, let's not add more work, it's
Yeah.
pretty
No,
clearly
no.
stated, I feel
It's,
like,
It's in there.
it's fine, I can do a diagram, but it's in here.
It's in there.
I'm sure it
Yeah.
is. This is the same city
And the
council
forum
that
for
thought
us.
posters would do it for sexual harassment. I've not seen one poster, but what do I know?
I actually have, I think I saw a poster on the, anyway.
Yeah,
I'm looking, it's not get sidetracked. But the forum for us to do this is on the 25th,
yeah.
and what I want you to do is harness the same passion and everything that you have now, and we'll talk about it then
It's
to
easy.
the council.
You want me to be angry?
No, I don't want you to
no,
be angry.
not at all, no, we don't.
Um, but if,
Not angry.
but,
Yes.
Yeah, right.
but it would help if all of you come to the hearing and really try to impress this.
When is the
She
city?
can't.
I'm traveling, I think, that day.
Um,
Yeah,
Twelve
you
noon.
were, that's what you
Right,
said.
I think maybe we can get Commissioner Rice to come.
Yeah.
But in addition to this, it's great that we're asking for all of these things, and it's great that we're trying to make do and, you know, still fulfill our mandate, but we need a chairperson.
I understand
I
that.
mean, if one of the letters that we have is, we're requesting for the third time from DCAS, the complaint tracking information. A chairperson would help when we request information from people or from agencies. A
No, I mean,
chairperson.
we need a chair for quorum, we need a chair for consensus, like, we
Yeah.
we generally operate on consensus, but with 4 people on a commission, it's entirely possible
For it to be
to
split.
have a split, and you
Yeah.
need to have a tiebreaker, but,
Right.
you know, the commission should operate on a consensus
Yeah.
model. But there's many reasons for a chair, and it's really kind of outrageous that we don't have
Yeah,
Right, it's truly
Some of
outrageous.
us so long, like,
Well, our mayor's too busy running for president
Oh.
these
one. You know,
days.
can we just, like, let's keep it to the stuff at the table, please?
Yeah. So. Let's move on with the,
Okay. We are now up to correspondence to the city council. I believe, did you wanna discuss that? I mean, we discussed the annual report, we discussed the fiscal 20 budget and oversight hearing. The next thing on the new business is correspondence to the New York City Council. I think
we touched on it when
Mm.
I
Yeah.
talked about the challenge,
yeah.
and so Commissioner Daniel signed the letter.
So it's no different than others arguing that they are not, that we do not have jurisdiction over them. It becomes sort of boring to have to re-articulate what we re-articulate all the time, which is, would you please look at the city charter? And would you please look at our enabling legislation? And would you please look at the specific language that says that we do indeed have jurisdiction? Anyway, we will do that. Correspondence to GCAS, we have also discussed, which is in fact that we need to have, it's the third request for documentation that by legislation they are supposed to give to us, and somehow have not found the time, have had the time or effort to do so. And I have requested that in addition to sending a letter to the commissioner, that we copy the city council as well, since indeed they are the ones that have mandated that DCAS give us that data, and so far DCAS has been unable to provide it to us. And next is the controller audit of the EPC. For the record, do you want to explain, Sharice, to us what they've asked for?
Oh, so as we discussed, what they will be looking at specifically in this audit is the comptroller will be examining the EPC's auditing records. It may also include an evaluation of the computerized system controls in order to ascertain the integrity, validity, and reliability of our data. And we're ready. I think we've spent maybe the last 5 to 6 years preparing for this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, as I
We're ready
recall,
for
the last audit was a point where we had not audited either the city council or the mayor's office. We have now done that, as evidenced by the fact that we have today voted out reported compliance, so.
Right, we've done that, we've automated the management of the audits, we've automated the checks and balances, the approvals, we've made everything accessible online.
Well, you've created a far more efficient model, which has enabled you to do the number of audits annually and then some, and it's also enabled you to do specific audits like the sexual harassment audit.
For me, I think this audit is not really about the numbers, and I'm proud to say that the integrity of the information, I think, has improved. We've gotten better information, we've gotten better collection processes. We can store the information better, we can find the information better. So if this audit is about the integrity of our audits, we're ready for it.
Yeah, it may well be also about process and efficiency.
Right, so, and we've improved processes and we're way more efficient than we were 5 years ago.
Do we have any other new business?
Nope.
I have a question, how are you coming on replacing your research director?
We're this close.
Okay.
Where we just finished the interviews. It's just identifying the candidate.
Okay, only because that becomes a need, again, based on your other mandate, which is to do a certain amount of
Right.
education of the people, and it is inherent, actually, in a portion of what the city council bill is talking about, because it talks about recommendation of chronic or systematic underutilization. And it is legislative, regulatory, and budget changes, but you can't do that until you do some training so people understand what they're looking for. And part of that are our conferences talking about it and developing language that is common to everybody. I'm not sure that trying to have everybody understand what we mean by underutilization, probably not, it's sort of gone back to point one, but maybe that's something we wanna look at it in.
We're talking to EEO professionals, so, it's something that they do. Or they should be doing.
They should be doing, that just should be, and
The issue for me is not, I'm trying to get his attention, is not the mayoral agencies and the information that we can get from DCAS. It's the attention that we have to devote to agencies that do not have the benefit of DCAS reporting, let's say, about, through seeds and for underutilization and adverse impact and all of that.
so you're talking about the community colleges or something else?
Well, the community colleges, they have their own, right,
Yeah,
but let's say,
Like a smaller agency?
right, like a non-mayoral, smaller agency. I don't know if any of the corporations like EBC and HDC.
EBC, HDC are not in the seats. They're
Right,
not
or-
city.
Or,
I know,
so
I know
the
the
pre-state.
DOE had difficulties in terms of seats, I don't know if they finally.
right,
got
it,
through.
it would be non-mayoral agencies that do not have to report data to DCAS.
Okay.
Then they would either have to do their own data analytics, or we would have to figure out how to collect their information.
So that's an added issue
So-
for you as you're testing on,
Right. So,
because I don't think this is limited to,
No, it's not.
it says
no,
city
it just says
agencies.
city agencies.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Move to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
We have adjourned at 9:00. 9:55. And someone will turn off